Hey, what's going on? My name's Andrew, you can call me Pooch, and I'd like to welcome you to the Less Lonely channel. I am really glad you're here because today we're doing a little home studio tour, and yeah, this isn't wide enough, but just wanted to show you what we'd be looking at today. And before we talk about this space, I've got to show you where it started.
2, 1. Much better. You guys like the new lights?
So things have come a long way from my early YouTube setup days, and while I'm thankful for that, it is good to see where we started in this exact room. Over the course of the past couple years, I've really learned a lot from other people who have their own studio and their creative philosophies around them. And I've kind of come up with my own agreements or rules that I want to share with you while I show you the space. These rules are designed to help me stay as creative as possible while also keeping me in line, keeping me sane and organized and happy to be in a space. If you're anything like me, you're totally affected by the mood and the vibes of a space that you're in, and I need things to be dialed in. Rule number 1 is probably my favorite, and that is to display and show the things that you love. I'm no stranger to collecting things, and I think it's really apparent when you walk into my studio. One look at my bookshelf and you'll see memorabilia from old trips, like my Metro card from New York City this past year, a photo with my dad, or me and my wife singing at a friend's wedding. I also have things that I've collected over the years, like my grandfather's small journal from World War II, his flask, or even a photo of him. And on the top shelf, we've got my camera collection, which is a culmination of all the cameras that I've had over the years, from when I first got started, to cameras that I bought recently, to even my wife's old Nikon Coolpix, which I still use to this day. For me, it's important to bring things into your space that you love because your space is a reflection of you in a way. And when people come in and they create alongside of you, they can kind of draw off of that energy and be inspired by who you are because you're filling up the space. Rule number 2 is working in sections. Now, I know it's hard to do in a small space, but I tried my best to block off areas in this room that are dedicated to specific things. Editing, writing, admin work, anything on the computer is obviously done at my sitting standing desk right here in this corner. Directly behind it, I have my printing set up as well as storage for all of my loose gear down below. Now, I will say the printing is new. There's no telling how that's gonna go because I've never had luck with printers, but we're trying something new here. For all gear-related prep and charging, that all happens over here at this black workbench. I can charge batteries while I set up a rig or work on fixing maybe a light. It's really ideal, and it's kind of like the workbench of the studio. In terms of shooting, well, you're looking at it. This little section right here is designed for shooting and creativity. I've got a tabletop next to these backdrops that I use for any creative photo shoots or video shoots, and I shoot all of my YouTube talking heads right here. Again, I'm making do with the little space that I have, so a simple movement of the workbench and I'm able to set up here and crank these videos out. Storage is always incredibly important, though it is a little bit limited here. In this closet directly behind me is where I keep all of my C-stands, light stands, and light cases. And this closet over my right shoulder is where we keep our winter coats. Don't forget, this is a home studio. I don't have full jurisdiction over this space completely. I've tried though. I stole rule number 3 from my all-time favorite artist, Tom Sachs. And that is that your studio is a sacred space, and respect of this space is essential. A lot of times I think of my studio as 1, a direct reflection of myself, and 2, a direct input into how I'm going to create. And listen, I am by no means a clean freak, and I'm not super organized, but I will say that everything in this space, from a deck of playing cards, to tiny little camera screws, to my R5 and my Fuji X100V, everything has a specific place in this studio and everything belongs. I'm a little stingy with what comes into the studio, and I'm definitely stingy with what goes out of the studio. This may be a little dramatic, and that's okay, but it does feel in a lot of ways for me like a curation of the space. I guess another way to put it is just everything is super intentional in here. What I love about creative spaces is that they can happen anywhere, from your home studio, your kitchen, or even a closet if you need to. As you create, you fill up the space that you're in, and that space that you're in slowly becomes, well, a creative space, your personal creative studio. And like I said earlier, I'm glad the setup doesn't look like it used to, but I'm still not 100% where I want to be with this space, but it's hard. I share this house and this space with my wife, so I can't just go crazy and start knocking down walls and doing the things that I would want to do. So one day, I'd love to be in a studio space and have other creatives in there as well, where we can make it our own and do all of that great stuff. But that's in the future, and I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna worry about where I'm at today, and that's right here in my little baby home studio. Thanks for hanging out with me and just checking out my space. I'm really proud of it because it has come a long way, and you just sticking around means a lot to me. So thank you for helping me feel less lonely on my creative journey. If you're feeling like you wanna be a little less lonely, then I'd recommend liking, commenting, and subscribing. We can be creative together and ultimately feel less lonely, and that is the goal here. Now I'll see you in the next one because it's gonna be a weird one. It's gonna be a weird one. All right, peace.